I don't normally do listicle videos, but today I'm going to go over 5 things you lose when you lose your job, and they're not the ones people talk about. When you lose your job, everyone talks about the money, the paycheck or lack of, and of course the benefits. And yes, that's terrifying. But there are 5 things you lose that nobody talks about. And honestly, they hurt more than the money. I know, because I lost all 5 when I lost my job. The first one is identity. Let's face it, when you met the last person, what was the first thing they said to you after what was your name? Go on. What do you do? And you had an answer. You were a manager, an engineer, a teacher, a sales director, whatever it was. It wasn't just a job title, it was who you were. Now imagine if someone asks you that question and you've got nothing, no title, no company, no answer. It's very soul destroying in many ways. Losing your identity is arguably one of the hardest things about losing your job. Now, not everyone's identity is tied to their job. That is true. But for a lot of people, it is. And that is a change in your life that is really difficult to overcome, basically. The second thing are your skills. You spent 20, 30, maybe 40 years building skills. You were good at what you did. People came to you for answers. You were the person who knew how to get things done. And then one day, nobody needs those skills anymore. Nobody calling you, nobody asking. The thing you spent a career mastering is just irrelevant. Who are you when no one needs your skills? Now, the third one is a big thing. Your sense of worth. We've been told our entire working lives that our value comes from what we produce. Hit the target, meet the deadline, exceed expectations. Your worth was measured in output. So what happens when the output stops? When there's no target to hit, no deadline to meet, no one measuring what you've done today? And self-worth and identity kind of go hand in hand in many ways. And that can be a really difficult pill to swallow, especially if, like me, you lose your job at a time when you simply weren't expecting it, and you suddenly wake up the next morning with these feelings of lack of worth, lack of identity. Fourth one, it's your daily structure. Monday to Friday, alarm goes off. Coffee, commute, meetings, lunch, more meetings, home, rinse and repeat. You probably complained about it every single day, but it was yours. It was a rhythm. It was a reason to get up, and then it's gone. You wake up on a Tuesday morning, and there was nowhere to be. Nothing on the calendar, no one expecting you. The whole day stretches out in front of you, and it should feel like freedom, but it doesn't. It feels like falling. And structure is one of those things that we take for granted every day of our lives. Not just with work, but with your weekends. You may have a weekend schedule that you go to. Maybe you play golf on a Saturday morning. But the point is, with work, you're spending typically 8 hours or more a day, 5 days a week. And to have that suddenly taken away from you, and again, especially if it's unexpected, is difficult to handle. And finally, your social world. Here's the one that creeps up on you. Your colleagues, the people you saw every day, the ones you had lunch with, joked with, vented to. Some of them you thought were friends. When the job ends, most of them disappear. Not because they're bad people, but because the thing that connected you was the job. Your entire social structure gone, just like that. And I actually did a video not too long ago, and I'll leave a link in the description below, where I go over about the friends you thought you had. So those are the 5 things nobody warned you about. And if you're sitting there right now feeling any of this, I need you to hear me, because there is another side to this. When your profession disappears, you don't disappear. You just lost the label. And there's the thing about labels. They were never really you. You had an identity before that job. You had passions, interests, things that lit you up before some company gave you a title and a lanyard. That person is still there. And you probably still have those passions today. And the skills, your skills didn't vanish the moment you walked out that door. Every single thing you learned, every problem you solved, every team you led, That's all still yours. Those skills don't expire. They just need a new stage. And your worth? That was never about output. It was never about hitting targets. That was just a metric someone else put on you. You are not your productivity. You never were. You had plenty of self-worth before your job, and you still got plenty of self-worth now. Structure is a little bit more difficult because, yes, your daily structure did disappear, which means for the first time in decades, you get to build your own, not someone else's schedule. Yours, on your terms. That's not falling, that's freedom. You just got to learn how to use it. But I always say, if you do lose your job, try and create a structure. But don't make it so tight. It doesn't have to be crazy. Allow yourself time to breathe. But perhaps each day, set yourself one target to do something. It could be something big, it could be something small. But do something and achieve it. Make sure it's an achievable target. So by the end of the day, you feel like you have achieved something. In your social world, look, some of those people were never really your people. The ones who matter will stay. And now you've got the chance to find your community, people who share your actual interests, not just the office floor. And during my working career, I can count on one hand how many people I'm still in regular contact with, people that I worked with. That's not to say bad about other people. It just means that when you work in a place, you're forced into a position to work with these people and you become friends because of the work. Now, I'm not saying any of this from a textbook. I'm saying it because I lived every single one of these. All 5 hit me at the same time. And starting in a few weeks, I'm going to tell you the full story, what happened, how it felt, what I did next. Not as a one-off. This is going to be a series because there's a lot to tell, starting with the whole process of how I lost my job, what happened, exactly how it happened, and then what followed on from that, and what is happening today, because there is an update. So if that's something you want to follow, if any of this hits home for you today, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, because the story is coming, and I think it's going to help a lot of people. I'll see you the next time. Cheers.